Good morning, good morning, good morning, and good morning. Welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View this morning, where Celtic currently sit second in the Champions League. Yes, this morning we wake up second place in the Champions League. Who would ever thought that Celtic would be sitting second place in the Champions League? I'm going to keep on saying it. I am going to keep on saying it. I think it's a fantastic achievement, and it's going to take a lot of goals. It's going to take a lot of goals tonight for the teams that play tonight to overtake Celtic. They're going to have to win 5-0 to overtake Celtic in the Champions League. And yes, we do have some difficult games coming up, and we'll talk about them in a minute or two. But let's just take it while we can. We're sitting second in the Champions League, and anyone that wants to get above us on game day one will have to score at least 5 goals. They'll have to win by 5 goals this evening. For me, that's a magnificent achievement by Brendan Rodgers. Brendan Rodgers had his doubters going into this Champions League. People said, this is where Brendan Rodgers will be judged in the Champions League. My question to you this morning is, was that the best ever Champions League result for Celtic? And straight off the bat, 76% are saying yes, 72, 76. It's jumping up between 72 and 76, 75% saying yes, and 24% saying no. There is only a few votes on, just the poll has just started. But share the video with all your Celtic mates. It's 8:45. Let them get on for 5 minutes before they start work. And for those who aren't start working, just send it to them. Get them out their beds. Just get up. Let's talk about Celtic. This was magnificent last night. It was absolute brilliant. Let's jump into the chat and see who's all on this morning. David was first up. Morning, Baz. What a morning to wake up a Celtic fan. Second in the Champions League. Top of our league, alive and kicking in all cups, and Glasgow really is green and white. It is that. But Celtic can come down to earth with a bump in a couple of weeks' time, and let's just enjoy the moment, though, isn't it? Let's just enjoy the moment. Stephen Johnson was in the house. What a game last night. We played brilliant. Well done, lads. We did that, Stephen. It was a fantastic game. David says, hail, hail. Lubo Ibrox's party is still buzzing. Carly fell asleep buzzing and woke up buzzing. I think we all did. And I think if you managed to get a full night's sleep last night, you've done better than me, because I just couldn't stop thinking about it. Jerry and Neil says, hail, Baz, still in cloud nine after the last night. Football performance can only get better. It can only get better, but the teams we will play in the Champions League will also get better. So let's not forget that. They're not going to all be Salzburg standard. But as the manager said, do not knock the team. Do not knock that result last night. This is Champions League level. And do not underestimate by any means what Celtic managed to achieve last night and what Brendan Rodgers has managed to achieve with this team. This comes down to Brendan Rodgers. This comes down to the training that Brendan Rodgers and the backroom staff, and even Brendan Rodgers himself said after the game, he can't take credit for it all. You know, that goal where Liam Scales, that wasn't my doing. You know, that was the set-piece coach. Set-piece coach sorted that out, and Brendan tells them what he wants to happen, and they go and coach it into the players. The backroom staff that is at Celtic, it's not Brendan's backroom staff, remember, because they were here before Brendan was here. They were here. This backroom staff have been through various managers. This backroom staff were here under Ange Postecoglou. Maybe that should have been the poll. Maybe that should have been the poll this morning. Is this team better than Ange Postecoglou's team now? Even though it has some players from Ange's team, but is it playing better than Ange ball was last night? Yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to change that. No, we'll do that for this evening's poll. That'll be this evening's poll. Is Brendan Ball now better than Ange Ball? Considering that Ange is getting all sorts of abuse down in England. Anton Rodgers' left foot. Anton Rogan's left foot says Scales is only one side. Good morning, hope on a triumphant Thursday. Richard says Calmack was immense directing the team last night. It was that, and there was at one point, even seen the commentators mention that Callum McGregor, after the changes, was telling the wingers to get right out into the touchline to make as much width for their team as possible. Desmond Donnelly says, morning Baz and troops. Lots of sore heads today. Mine, yeah, I was a little bit like that this morning. It took me a while to get out of bed this morning. I didn't jump out lively and springy at 7 o'clock like I usually do. It was about a 45, 50 minute later before I was like, oh my God, I need my head. Anyway, Carly says, I'm going to need another sleep late tonight. I'm going to need another sleep late one tonight. She's having a drink tonight. Desmond Donnelly says, looks like we're going to have to book the day off after Champions League games this year. I think a lot of people will. Mr. Quinn's in the house, and Carly is starving. Tam Kieran's in the house. What a performance. Fantastic. What a squad. Let's enjoy it while we can. Exactly. And let's enjoy Arne Engels as we can, whilst we can, because Arne Engels is making waves around the media in Europe this morning. Yes, the player that was bought for 11 million is making waves around Europe with his performance in the Champions League last night. Tam Tierney's in the house, Jim F's in the house. And Davey Seenan is in the house. He'll Davey, you know, working. Morning Baz, he'll bro. What a night last night. And on Kev's birthday as well. On Kev's birthday. You cannot make it up. You cannot make it up. It was unbelievable. For me, I am still buzzing 110% for last night. I thought every single player. I mean, let's go through the players and let's rate the players. And let's rate the players, and we'll start with Arne Engels. In the comment section, rate Arne Engels for me last night out of 10. What do you think he gets out of 10? For me, I think Arne Engels is up there at about 9.5. Would he got 10 out of 10 if he had scored that screamer, a couple of shots he had? He definitely gets a 9 for me. Rate Arne Engels in the comment section, because that's what we're going to do with this morning. We're going to rate all the players. I think that the team was absolutely immense. When you look at the Champions League table, even the dog's needing a sleep. When you look at the Champions League table, I mean, one of the biggest teams in Europe are sitting top in Celtic. Let's not take away from anything. The teams that play tonight will have to have a scoreline of 5-0 to be above Celtic. Just let that sink in for a second. They'll have to win 5-0 to get above Celtic in game day 1. But we do have a tough team up next. I'm rating Arne Engels as a 9. We'll start off with Arne Engels because I think he was a fantastic player, although he wasn't man in the match. I'm giving him a 9 all day long. This Celtic team are looking really, really good right now, and keep this up, and who knows where this team can go. Come on the hoops, boys and girls. John is saying a 9. Carly saying morning to Stephen. Helen is saying 9. Desmond Donnelly saying 10. Even though that he missed a couple of chances, I'm giving them a 9 because I think he got 10 if he'd scored a couple of those screamers. But we're all allowed to our own opinions because it's the one Celtic fans' view. John is saying 9. Tam Tierney's saying 9. Carly's saying 9. Jerry's saying 9. Mr. Quinn's saying 9. Stephen Johnson, as we everyone. Arne Engels 9.5 for me. Never put a foot wrong all night. Carly says 10. If he scored, if he scored that screamer. Davey Seenan saying 9. Arne was a powerhouse, strong in midfield. I wanted to see Arne Engels and Paulo Bernardo on the same team, on the pitch at the same time, and I got my wish last night, and oh my God. Oh my days, as a young Celtic player once used to say. Oh my days. What an absolute midfield pairing that those two are. I tell you one thing, Rio Hatate better watch his shoulder, because he's got two fantastic players that can dominate Scottish football in my opinion. But it is what it is. Let's get back to the comments. Goals and places. Arnie for me, but Scales was class too. Yes, he is that. We're going to get to Scales, don't worry. We're going to rate all the players this morning. Arne Engels is a 9. I'm saying a 9. We played fantastic, but there's more to come, says Who Really Cares. Scales is 8.5. Carly, we're not even getting to Scales yet. I decide who we go to next, right? Not you. Next up is Nico Kuhn. Nico Kuhn. I think I want to go to Nico Kuhn next. And I'm going to give Nico Kuhn 8.5. I'm going to give Nico Kuhn an 8.5. He set up that absolute, meaning the players that Nico Kuhn took on for that goal for Kyogo, where it came off Kyogo's hip. I mean, let's face facts. Kyogo didn't know a lot about it. It came off his hip to go into the back of the net. We're only lucky it hit his in the front of his hip and know that his arse bounced out the way. But Nico Kuhn for me gets 8.5. Tell me what you think. Nico Kuhn up next. Kuhn is 8.5. Stephen Johnson saying 9. Kuhn was also a 9 for me, says David. Arnie Engels 9.9, says Peter. Who really cares? Says 9. Kieran says 9. Engels ran the show. He did that. Anton Rogan's left foot says 8. Jordan Doherty says 8. Desmond Donnelly says 8.5. He was marked close to the full game. Yes, he was that. He was he was almost doubled up on her quite a few times, but he still manages to get past these players. 7.5 says Stevie Boy. Mr. Quinn says we don't have to fear anyone in Europe this year. We don't, but we have to play really better defensively. And not have any little slip-up moments. And we'll talk about that slip-up moment later. Peter King says 8.8. Who really cares? Says Kuhn is an 8 for him. Carly says 8.5. 9 for Lucian. Mobley says Kuhn is a 9. And Kuhn, bloody spell check. Andy Mack says 9 for him also. For Nico Kuhn. I think he was at least an 8.5. At least an 8.5 all day long. Alistair Johnston. Let's go to Alistair Johnston next. Let's mix it up, go to Alistair Johnston. Alistair Johnston gets booked for... I don't think it was ever a booking, but I'm going to say Alistair Johnston was 8.5. For what Alistair Johnston brings to Celtic. I said before the game, this is the level that Alistair Johnston wants to play at. This is the level that Alistair Johnston... It's his level, right? He's a fantastic international player for Canada. And for me, he was another 8.5 all day long. For what he brings to the team, Alistair Johnston. Alistair Johnston is just... Alistair Johnston's getting 10. The whole team 9.5, says Peter King. The Kaiser's in the house. How did your live go last night, Kaiser? Anton Rogan's left foot saying 10. Kieran Douglas says 10. Alistair Johnston, Stevie Boy says 9.5. Stephen Johnson says 9. David says... Ali was an 8.5 for me. Ali Johnson gets big love hearts with Carly as 9. Alistair Johnson, AJ 9. AJ 9.5. Just shows how often you type the word hun. Says Desmond Donnelly. Alistair Johnson, 8.5. 9 for all, says Tam Cairns. Do the full Celtic team get that many pass marks? And do we just give them all maximum pass marks? Right, let's get on to, after Alistair Johnson, let's go to his defensive partner in crime. The one and only Liam Scales. Rate Liam Scales for me in the comments section. I'm going to give Liam Scales a 9 because he played over and above once again. I mean, I called it last season to say that he would be the most improved player. Once again, we've brought in a defender and he's still managing to hold his own and keep his position on the pitch. Now, somebody said last night that I said I wanted rid of Scales. I have never said I wanted rid of Scales. I said Scales can sometimes have a little lapse of concentration, and it looks like that the staff have managed to get that out of him. So what do you think that Scales? Scales is a legend. Legend balls. 9, 10 says Kieran. 8 says Stephen Johnson. Scales 10, Scales 10. 8.5. Alistair Johnson was solid, says Jordan. Liam Scales 9. 10. One with £100, says Anton Rogan's left foot. Scales is a 9.8. Scalesy was definitely a 9. That's Scales 8. Liam Scales was brilliant. Scales is 9. Spears slid. Whale trips. What a game last night. So sick. Liam also a 9. Scales 9. Desmond Donnelly 9. Scales has been solid, absolutely solid for us. He has been, and I did say I called it right at the beginning of last season when everyone was falling down injured in our defence, and Liam Scales was rescued from going to Aberdeen. Liam Scales thought he was going to Aberdeen, and Brendan Rodgers said, "You're going absolutely nowhere because we've got a crisis in our defence." And I said at that point, do not be, just wait and see. Scales will be the man that will partner Cameron Carter-Vickers at the end of the season, and I was right. And he's going on from strength to strength to strength, and it's absolutely fantastic to see. And it's even better that we get two Irishmen scoring for Celtic. So all these Liverpool podcasts and all these folk in Ireland that watch all these Liverpool podcasts and the Man United podcasts, get back to your roots and start supporting Celtic again, because we are a new force in the Champions League. Never mind all these English Premiership teams. Get back to your roots and get supporting Celtic. Yes. Buzzing for every Celtic fan. Superb result, says Carly. Away fans get 10 plus, says Sunstone Sheep. What does it say on the tin? It says, whatever the tin you've got, Scales is a 9.5. Right, next up, after Liam Scales, is the man who's done it year after year after year after year. He's a man that plays on the wing. He's a man that's played over 500 games for Celtic, and he set up the goal for Adam Ida, and it's Jamesy Forrest. Jamesy Forrest comes on towards the end of the game, and even he has to get an 8.5 for me. It has to be at least a minimum 8.5. Jamesy Forrest does it again at the top level. You cannot knock that man down. You cannot say anything bad about Jamesy Forrest. Saying that Jamesy Forrest is too slow, boo. James Forrest passed it, not a chance. James Forrest can't do it at the highest level at his old age, not a chance. Hold my point. Hold my cup of tea. Hold my cup of tea, says Jamesy Forrest. Adam Ida, you go that way, I'll go this way. Boom, there you go, slide ball. And Adam Ida doesn't even take one chance. Bang, in the back of the net. Didn't even take one touch. He knew exactly where the James was going to play the ball, and he takes it all day long. Jamesy Forrest is an 8.5. Stephen Johnson says he's a 9. Jamesy, 8.5. James Forrest, 8.5. James Forrest was a 7. Didn't get long enough, I feel, says David. James Forrest, 8. James Forrest was brilliant. James Forrest was absolutely brilliant. Really deserved that result for watching Celtic documentary. Got more admiration for Rodgers and McGregor. What a performance last night. I'm going to watch the documentary tonight because I believe it is on... there's a link going around to watch it. Forrest, masterclass. Absolute masterclass. Apparently got 2.1 million we got for last night's win. I've just had a text. We got 2.1 million in the bank. That's what we made last night. 2.1 million. I just got the WhatsApp just flashed up on my screen there. Forrest has got 8 legend, 8 Forrest pure class for the cash. The cash. 2.1 million we got for last night. The cash is just coming in. We're sitting there like a... I knew you would say it. The whole team was just excellent, mate. The goal, 8.5. James Forrest, 8.5. That's what I think he was. I think he was an 8.5. Didn't get long enough on the team. Now, the man in midfield who has some special moments, and he has some moments where you're thinking you could do just a little bit better. But I'm always critical of the one and only Rio Hatate. Rio Hatate's got 2 players looking over his shoulders that can take his place in midfield. What would you give Rio Hatate for last night's performance? I'm going to give him an 8. I think that's a fair result for Rio Hatate. I'm going to give Rio Hatate an 8. So tell me in the comment section, what did you rate Rio Hatate last night? Our club is packing. Stephen Johnson's going for 8.5. Gordon Crouch saying, Arne Engels, what a player. Anton Rogan's left foot said 9. Hatate was a 9. Rio, 8. Rio was a steady 8, 8.5. I think he was about an 8. I think that's a fair screenshot, that lad. Screenshot. What the screenshot what? Morning Stephen says Gary Haycroft. Rio gets an 8 from Gordon. Who really cares? Says 8. Rio gets 8, 8.5. Carly says Hatate 8.5. Rio Hatate definitely an 8. Great ball to Maida. Yep, it was that. He makes space. He does make space, but sometimes he's just got a little bit of his game where I think that Brendan Rodgers will agree that he needs to improve. Especially when you've got the likes of Paulo Bernardo sitting waiting. We need to get to him in a minute, but we're all talking about Rio Hatate first of all. And my coffee's went cold. Look at the table. I've screenshotted the table. I have screenshotted the table. I've screenshotted that table, and I'm keeping that forevermore. I even sent it to my Man City mate last night who stays out here, and I said, we're better than you. That is absolutely fantastic. Look at it. Anyone that wants to go above Celtic tonight in the remaining games in the Champions League need to win 5-0. Put that into perspective. They need to win 5-0 to get anywhere near Celtic in that league. Let me just put that back up there. WhatsApp's going crazy this morning. Let me get back to this screen. And right, 8.5 for Rio. Can't give anyone less than an 8. The team played well, says Who Really Cares. Rio 8 stepped up last night. He did that. Could have been 8 or 9 last night. It could have. Every member is playing in the playing squad is a 10 for the pure joy they give us last night, says Colin Barr. You're probably right there, mate. We're probably doing them. Right, next up, he scores a goal. He comes from Ireland, and his name's Adam Ida. A lot of people had written off Adam Ida, saying, have we been stung? Is he really, really a £9 million player? Is he really an £8.5 million player? Is Adam Ida? What do you rate Adam Ida? Where do you rate Adam Ida last night? Because I think he took that goal fantastically. He didn't get long on the pitch. He didn't get enough time on the pitch, but I'm going to rate him a 9. I am going to rate him a 9 because he took that goal fantastically well. When you look at the chances that Kyogo Furuhashi missed, he didn't even flinch. You know, the big man didn't flinch. He did well mixing it up with the defenders. Adam Ida was a 9 all day long for me. Adam Ida 9, says Stephen Johnson. John says 9. 9 for 9 minutes. Adam Ida 8.5. I knew Adam would score. I wanted Kyogo off for Adam Ida. That's because you fancy the big man, Carly. Fantastic performance. The way we swarmed the win and to get the ball back was brilliant. Yes, that's something that we'll need to do, and even more when it comes to our very next game in the Champions League. And once we've spoke about all the players, we'll then get on to that. The Cork Battalion was superb last night. I loved his goal. Yeah, Adam Ida 9 scored with his first touch. Exactly. If you went minutes per touch, different class Adam Ida is. And I've said I took Adam Ida for 20 goals. I had a weird dream last night. I had a dream that I was talking to Adam Ida and you're never going to believe this, Lee Griffiths. The two of them were sitting. What a weird dream. That's bizarre. Consider Liam Griffiths in Australia. I don't know. He's a child. Says Carly. Oh my goodness. Adam Ida's 9, says Jerry. Right, let's get on to the next player. We've done Adam Ida. Let me just see. Tony Ralston. We'll get on to the ones that we'll get on to some of the defenders next. Tony Ralston. What would you rate Tony Ralston after he came onto the pitch last night? When a player that came off was grabbing his back. What do you give Tony Ralston? I fancy Brendan and Pep. Slovan played 8 games to get there. They're no mugs. They're not any mugs, Derek. They're not any mugs at all. Brendan Rodgers said, look, do not knock Celtic for the level of performance that we had last night. This is Champions League level. They had 4 qualifiers to get through. They had 4 qualifying games to get into the Champions League proper. Right? They would be in pot 4. I don't care. But it's still Champions League level. We have never put in a performance last night like that. And anyway, let's get back to rating the players, and we're talking about Tony Ralston. Tony Ralston, the Bricky. What do you rate Tony Ralston? 8, 7, 8, 7.5 for Tony. I think I'm going to go 7.5. 8 for the Bricky. Tony done not too bad. 8. Baz, never tell anyone about that dream again. I was only sitting talking to them. We were talking football, and I actually told Big Adam Ida that I had him down for 20 goals this season. And then I said to Griffiths, I was like, can you imagine how many you'd score in this team? What a weird dream. Anyway, I told Ralston 7.5, Tony 8, Ralston 8. Their goalkeeper kept the score down. Kyogo will be disappointed, but the goals will come. No passengers last night. It showed the buy-in Rodgers produced. Rodgers' produce from these players has been incredible. I had a dream about Brendan and Pep. I bet you did. Filthy woman. Let's look at carried away. It's 1-1. We need 3 more wins, saying Usher Celtic. We're going to talk about that once we've rated all the players, because we need to talk about this performance last night and where it puts us in the Champions League. Right, let's talk about Greg Taylor. Greg Taylor never put a foot wrong last night. He mixed it up in the middle of the park, as we knew he would. He was right up in the middle of right in front in the middle of the box at times. What do you rate Greg Taylor? Even though Greg Taylor cost us a goal. Greg Taylor cost us the goal with his crazy swipe at the ball, trying to hit it high into the air. And rather than, I mean, you can see what he was trying to do. He was trying to hit it up to the middle of the park. But come on, he's no Maldini. This is the one and only Greg Taylor. He was at fault for the goal. But you've got to say the goal was a fantastic goal. You can't, I mean, the guy gets it over Cameron Carter-Vickers' head. It skims the top of Carter-Vickers' head. But Taylor was immense. He was immense, just like everyone else. If you ask me, Taylor was an 8. Ida ahead of Kyogo in Europe. Ida's much stronger on the ball. Champions League. Charlie was scoring. It's confidence I've seen in my generation. Yes, this is the best, most confident I've seen in my generation, says Pedro. That's interesting. Taylor was a 9. Taylor was an 8. Taylor was an 8.5. Greg Taylor 8. Greg Taylor 8. And Taylor 8. 9. Greg Taylor 9. Taylor 8. Taylor 8.5. Greg Taylor was superb. What's my mum sending me? Yes. I am live, mother. My mum's taken my order for my Celtic merchandise, and she's obviously away to buy it today. Goals, not goals. Goal, not goals. Taylor, 8.5. 8.5. Paul Baird says, hail, hail. Wait a minute, what did my mother say? 2 seconds. Okay, is this the top you want, or is it striped? This one. I will. Right, that's the merch order done for Celtic. Taylor, 8.5. Love it when the goal comes into midfield and he confuses the opposition. Yep. We have all done that kick before. Yes, we've all done that kick before. Many of us. It was when the subs came on, they were seamless. It was that. Barca was our biggest result in the Champions League. Last night was brilliant though, says Plunge McNugget. I did ask the question, was last night the best ever result for Celtic in the Champions League? 68% saying yes, 32% saying no. Finished with the sublime Bratislava. Taylor had a Kelly flashback. Yes, but he gets a 7. Taylor leaves for free next summer. Big worry. I keep calling you Rab C. Rab being this, don't worry, Greg Taylor will get that new contract. The bench is amazing. Your mum no subscribe, bud. No, I shouldn't. Doesn't watch the Celtic stuff. She watches my other channel, but not the Celtic stuff. Anyway, let's get on to the next player. I've lost the page that I was on. We're having a laugh. How have I crossed off a page? With my list of players. Oh, there it is. It's cool. Hadn't lost it. Right, Greg Taylor, Dyson Maeda. Let's rate Dyson Maeda. What do you rate Dyson Maeda after his game yesterday? I'm going to give Dyson an 8. I think that Dyson Maeda was an 8. Need those green tinted glasses today as my head is thumping, says who really cares. Give them all a 10. Glasgow's green and white. Morning Baz and all the Celtic fans. Here we go. Now the fun begins, it said Joseph. Larsson would have had a hat-trick from Kyogo's chances. We're going to get to Kyogo in a minute. So we are talking about the one and only Dyson Maeda. What do you give Dyson Maeda after last night? I'm giving him an 8. He does what Dyson does. He's so reliable. And maybe I should give him an 8.5. Or is it an 8? What are you saying in the comments? John says 8.5. 8.5. Robert says 8. Jordan Docherty says 9. Maeda was an 8.5. 8. He's 8. Who was the man of the match? It was Scales was man of the match. Dyson 9. Missed chances would have been 9. Yep. He was a workhorse. It is that as your mono, as your normal one of them, but nope. 6.5. Missed too many chances at that level. He does, and that's a bit of a worry for me. Is the chances that Kyogo and Dyson misses, but. If we can get these guys clicking, what a team we'll have. 7 or 9. Yes, great game. Come off the doom and gloomers. Just don't get ahead of myself. I'm not going to get ahead of ourselves. I'm going to bring us all back down to earth in about 5 minutes. Don't worry about it. Maida made a meal of it. Didn't think Dyson was at his best. Put in his usual incredible shift. 8. He's like a Duracell battery. 7 says Paul Bears. I want to know where Dyson gets his batteries. Ask his missus. He misses too many chances in the game. Dyson was a 9. Covered the whole pitch. Brilliant last night, Baz. Won't get anything from our next 2 games. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Let's just not get ahead of ourselves. We've done Dyson. Let's talk about Callum McGregor. Let's talk about our captain. What do you rate Captain Calmark last night? Callum run that middle of the pitch fantastic. Callum with all his experience in the world. Callum McGregor, brilliant last night, Baz. We've done that one. What do you rate Callum McGregor this morning? Tell me in the 8.5. I'm going to give Callum an 9. We won 5-1, enjoy it. He tackled back and won the ball so many times. A 9 for Calmark, 8.5. Dyson gets 8, Maida gets 8, Calmark 9.5, Calmark 9.8. Stephen Johnson says Calmark 9.5. Desmond Donnelly says 10. Robert says 9. Sunstone Sheep says 9. Jordan Dockett says 9. JJB says 8.5. Who really cares says Calmark 8.5. Calmark Adam says Calmark 9. Paul Baird says 8. Gary Haycroft said solid 9. Callum 9. Calmark always solid, dependable in that midfield. Thinking just a few years away from now, like we used to do with Bruni. We used to think when Bruni was going to retire, it was like, who would replace Bruni? We knew we had Callum McGregor in the team. But is young Luke the man to replace the one and only Calmark in years to come will be the question that many Celtic fans will ask. Every player who was on the park last night deserves 8.5. 9 for Callum, says George. Big Rab B says 8.5. I'm still lacking defensive cover against better teams. That will cost us. Cal, a 10. He was immense. The whole team was 9, says Plunge McNugget. Right after Callum was Cameron Carter-Vickers. Cameron Carter-Vickers, who did get booked in the game. And a lot of people were saying that Cameron Carter-Vickers wasn't really at the races at times. What would you give Cameron Carter-Vickers? Big Cal. Big Cammy. Big Cammy. Calmark was immense last night. The whole team at 9. Cal should be 10. Best captain since McNeil. So modest. Is he the best captain since McNeil? You're putting him up there with greats like Scott Brown, like Neil Lennon, like Paul Lambert, who won the Champions League, remember. Fantastic captain. Paul McStay. You're putting him up there with Paul McStay when he was captain of Celtic. You're putting him up there with Roy Aitken when Roy Aitken was captain. You're putting him up there with Tommy Burns and players like that. Dragon players all over the place, created space for pockets. Callum McGregor, 10 out of 10, and a left foot is 9. Yes, Luke will take over. He's a good candidate, I think so. Alistair Johnson should be next captain. What would you rate the one and only Cameron Carter-Vickers is the question. CCV, what do you rate CCV? 7 says Paul Beard. And 9 says Adam. CCV 9. CCV 8. The big man was immense, 8.5. 8 for CCV. CCV 8. Cameron Carter-Vickers is a 9. CCV ran over the forwards. He did that. He gets a 9 from David. Jerry says Vickers 8.5. CCV 9. The presence he makes in defence is the difference. CCV 7. Doesn't look 100% fit at the moment. Ooh. But we've got a player that can come in and step in for him. CCV 9. Paul McStay, number 1 for me, captain. Yep. I think he's up there. He's up there. He's up there. Danny McGrain, yeah, you've got to give it to Danny McGrain as best captain. I mean, after Big Billy. Vickers, 8.5. Yard, not new, new phone. Cameron Carter-Vickers, 9. Hail, hail champion, says Michael Ross. Cameron Carter-Vickers, 9. CCV, 7. and Carly's killing herself this morning. Right, let's jump on to after Cameron Carter-Vickers. I'm going to leave this player till last, actually. What would you rate Kasper Schmeichel? Kasper Schmeichel. He was faultless for the goal. You've got to say that the goal was absolutely a world-class goal. There's not many keepers would have saved that goal, if any. You've got to sometimes just take your hat off. What was Kasper Schmeichel? Kasper Schmeichel, what would you rate Kasper Schmeichel last night for his performance? Didn't have a lot to do in the game, but what he did do, he did really, really well. There was at times where he kicked the ball long, where you thought, do you know what? Our keeper last year would never have done that. The keeper last year would never have done that. And that's no disrespect to Joe Hart, but I think that Kasper Schmeichel is a little bit better than Joe Hart. Personally, that's just my own opinion. I think Kasper is a little bit better. He plays that position a lot better and a lot calmer because he's played with Brendan Rodgers before, so he slips right back into the team. CCV8, Stephen Johnson saying that the big man, the keeper's getting 9. Adam says 9. Kasper 10 says Anton. Adam says 9, Kasper 9, killing myself, fucking delight. Paul Bear says 8, 8.5, 9, Kasper 9. Kasper 9 is class with the ball at his feet. He is that. Kasper 8, Kasper 8.5, Kasper 8. He was faultless. Kasper couldn't do anything for the goal. Exactly. A solid 8.5 that will do. A spectator, 8. He was a spectator. He won't be a spectator all the Champions League games, but he thoroughly enjoyed the noise that was created at Celtic Park last night. More confident on the ball. Yes, he is more confident. Sunstone Sheep says that he's more confident on the ball than what the big man was who was sitting in the BBC, being the one and only BBC man for Celtic, is Big Joe Hart. Right, after Schmeichel, I'm going to go through the last two subs to come on before we get to Kyogo. So next up is Austin Trusty. Everybody in the club's getting Trusty. Bring on the 1 to the 2 to the 3. Big Trusty's getting it for me. Hey, I'm going to get Oaksy B to do a wee Trusty song for us. So Oaksy B, if you're watching this, I want you to do a rap for Trusty and send it to me. I'm going to message him, actually. I'm going to get Oaksy B, the rapper from Scotland. I'm going to get him to do a Trusty rap for us, because I'm not allowed to sing on the channel anymore. Maybe we can get him on. Maybe we can get Oaksy B on the channel to do a little rap for Austin Trusty. Austin Trusty. Any player was faultless. 9. Big Rabbi, the man who cares, practice it for us. 7, says Stephen Johnston. Kasper's distribution is excellent. No point. Austin Trusty. 8. Trusty 7. Adam says Trusty 7. 8 for the Yank. Austin Trusty 7.5. Don't start that again, Baz. I'll get someone else in. I'll get a professional one to do it. Right, that's it. I'll get Oaksy B in. Trusty didn't even get a touch. He did. Did he not? Trusty not on long enough to impress. Still a 7.5. I think he was going to get a 7 from me for what his limited time after coming on for Cameron Carter-Vickers. Trusty 6, Trusty 7.5. Trusty 7, not enough time to show how good he is. Can't wait for the Hun pod to see who mentions it. Quick enough to mention when we are beat. Get it right up, you said, Carly. Trusty 8. John says Trusty 8. Great result, but never our best result in the Champions League. Not a chance. He played like 7 minutes. Who's Trusty? Says Carly. Our best win, but that 4-3 game at Celtic Park against Juventus. You're talking about that was a fantastic game. The 4-3 Juventus game back in 2000 and early on. Anyway, Paulo Bernardo. What would you rate Paulo Bernardo? Paulo Bernardo, who came on in the position that Paulo Bernardo takes up. I'm sorry, but he is a player and a half. He didn't do too much in the game. He wasn't given enough time. But Paulo Bernardo's positional play in the front of that, I mean, there was one time that I was screaming for the ball to get past to Paulo. He was right on the edge of the box, unmarked, and the ball goes elsewhere. And you're just thinking, come on, Celtic. Paulo Bernardo, for me, is an absolute star of a player. And I might actually get I'm not going to say nothing because somebody will try and steal my thunder and get done first. Paulo Bernardo, 7. Still starving here, says Carly. 8.5, says Stephen Johnson. The Man U game when Nakamura scored the screamer was one of my favourite. Yep, the place went. I can remember being at that game, and it was absolutely phenomenal. 8, best favourite 2, different thing. Solid 7 for his time on the field. 8.5, 7.5, 9.5. I love Paulo, says oh boy. Paulo Bernardo 8, Paulo 6, Paulo 8.5, Bernardo 8, Bernardo 8. George says 9. Forgot that boot. 7.5. Bernardo was great for the time he was on. 8. Mike Ross says you could argue beating Anderlecht away was our best result ever. Whoa, well, there we go. They were in bits by that time that Paulo came on. Yes, 8.5 the few minutes that he came on. Full game, he's definitely a 10. 8.5, just controls the game. But I like a young Stilian Petrov. I want to see Arne Engels and Paulo Bernardo and Callum McGregor in that midfield together. I think finally we've got a midfield that can absolutely terrorise teams. Absolutely terrorise teams with that 3 in midfield. Bernardo 9, Bernardo 8, Bernardo 8, Bernardo 8, 8.5, just controls the game. Yep, seen that. Right, there is one player left. There's one player left in the team that we haven't spoke about. And it's a player that has he's missed quite a few chances this season. And he missed some absolute sitters. Let's face it, it was sitters last night. He could have had at least 2 goals. It's Kyogo Furiashi. What do you rate Kyogo Furiashi this morning? His positional play is fantastic. What he brings to the team is fantastic. His touch in front of goal. And I'm going to, whilst you are deciding, I'm going to go on to the Loranda Twitter and the half-time Twitter on Celtic. Liam Scales has us ahead at half-time. And some of the comments... worst referee I've ever seen. Imagine if Kyogo was clinical. Champions, Liam Scales haters come out now. Get Kyogo off and get Ida on. Kyogo is a £5 million player. Brendan Rodgers, does he get the best of him? Kyogo needs to switch up. Sharp as fuck, but his quality has been lacking. Dominant, we need to kill off these. Tell McGregor he could pass forwards and get Ida on instead of Kyogo. Kyogo offers nothing, says Greg. And there was a lot of stick for Kyogo online. Kyogo and Maida Kuhn are fine in Scotland, but he spoke far too soon because Kuhn in the second half was fantastic. Love Kyogo, but bring Adam on. He could play. Get Hatate and Kyogo to stop passing back. Get Kyogo and Hatate off. That was what people were saying at half time on the Celtic. Kyogo, what do you rate Kyogo? Who was first up? Kyogo, 7 point. Kyogo Furiashi, 8.5. Oof, 7. He was minced the first half. Yes, it was that. Sadly, gets a 7.5, says Stevie Johnson. I'm going to give Kyogo a 6, unfortunately. I'm going to give Kyogo a 6 because those chances, it was criminal to miss those chances. I'm sorry if that is maybe if you feel that's harsh, but in my opinion, at Kyogo's level as a player, he should be banging those goals in all day long. He should be screaming the back of the net. He tried to side foot the ball into the back of the net twice. He should have been putting his laces through it. And twice he tried to side foot it into the back of the net and he just totally miskicks it. He should be putting his laces through with power, and if he does that, you're getting people all over Europe going, this is why Manchester City were looking at him. If Kyogo scores his chances last night, you get people all around Europe going, this is why Manchester City were looking at him. Definitely. He's worth a watching. If Man City were looking at 20 million and he's scoring these goals in the Champions League, he's a 25 to 30 million player all day long. But he doesn't do it, does he? He didn't do it last night. Kyogo, 15.5, says John the truck driving legend. 7, says Paul Beard. I've missed it some. 7, sadly gets 7. Robert says 7, 8.5. Let's jump down. Last week, Ida was useless for fuck's sake. Fans are so fickle, says Michael Ross. The goalie made a good save with his foot. 7 for me, Baz. He did get one. 6, but he didn't work hard off the ball. Baz, I agree 100%. 7, I think, is fair. I'm giving him a 6, 6.5. I just think if he puts the chances away, it changes Kyogo's outlook altogether. And Kyogo 8. Plunge, good save to be fair. Watch the highlights, guys. They're a lot more expensive than Kyogo, who are missing brilliant chances. There are, but Kyogo gets them regular, and I think that anyway. Let's move on for that. I gave him a 7, Baz, says George. Kyogo's head is gone, considering, says Big Rab. He's looking for his next move, but sorry, the change of agent, he seems to have went off the boil. You maybe got a point there. But Kyogo did say to his Japanese, when he was interviewed for Japan Telly before the game, he said that he wants to do it in the Champions League. Kyogo missed those chances against better teams. We will get beaten when we shouldn't. He knows he can do better, and he does that. So that is the full roundup of the team. And now we get on to... We'll go to Instagram. We're going to talk about the games that we've got coming up. And we need to talk about exactly what the name of the video is. What was behind Celtic's incredible win against Slovan Bratislava last night? Was it the fact that it's the first foray into the Champions League? Remember, we are doing a poll this morning. The poll is, what was the best? Was that the best ever Champions League result for Celtic? 67% are saying yes. 33% are saying no. When you look at the result, maybe I shouldn't have said result. Was it the best ever Champions League performance? I should have said. Maybe I said performance. Was that the best performance in the Champions League? Not maybe the result. Not even the result. When have Celtic ever won 5-1 in the Champions League? So yeah, the result, performance, it all comes down together. For me, I think it was up there, and I'm just absolutely gutted that me and my brothers weren't there. My brother still has a seat at Celtic Park. He's got 2 seats still at Celtic Park, and I wasn't there with him. Anyway, 67% saying yes it was, and 33% saying no. But will Celtic come back down with a bump on Tuesday, the 1st of October? It's all fine being sitting, and when we look at the league just now, and we're going to milk this one, we are sitting second in the Champions League. It will take a team to score 5 goals or more, and a 5 clean sheet. It's going to be 5. They have to win by a clean 5 goals for them to sit above Celtic. But in the next game, we play the team that's in 4th. Yes, we play Dortmund. And that's going to be a game and a half. And it's going to be a top of the table tussle in the Champions League. You never thought you would hear that from this channel. Absolutely fantastic. A top of the league tussle for Dortmund and Celtic away in Germany on Tuesday the 1st of October. The game that I wanted to go to but came far too quick as I am coming back from a little holiday on that Tuesday morning, and it would be unfair to then just get the missus to drop me back off at the airport and bugger off. Anyway, we do play Dortmund our next game. They won last night. They didn't win by the scoreline. Celtic did. And then we travel to Italy on Wednesday the 23rd of October and play Atalanta, the team who currently are the Europa Champions League holders. So they're not a team that are diddies. We've got probably 2 of the hardest teams in the group, I think. And then before we get back to Celtic Park and play Leipzig, I think Leipzig, realistically, I think if we can get any kind of points at all, and I'm going to say it, I think that we might get a draw in Italy. Can we get anything out of the Dortmund game? It's going to be Brendan Rodgers will have his money cut out. The team will be thinking, this is no sweat. I don't care who it is. It's just 11 players on the pitch. Borussia Dortmund, we've got a history with ourselves and Borussia Dortmund. A fantastic player for Celtic and a fantastic servant for Celtic over the years. Went to Dortmund and played. 2 players did actually, and won the Champions League. But Murdo McLeod was probably he was the first and the best. But when you look at it, can Celtic take anything? Can Celtic take anything from the next 2 games? Put a hun in goal. Performance, yes. Dortmund got their goals in the last 10 minutes. Dortmund got their goals in the last 10 minutes, said Stephen. Dortmund are the strongest team in our section, says Robert. Our record in Italy is dreadful, says Michael. Lazio a few years ago wasn't too bad. I think that we can get a draw in Italy. And I really do. I think we can get a draw in Italy. Can we get anything from the game in Germany is going to be the big question. What we do not want to happen, is Celtic getting beat 3 and 4-0, because that does the goal difference the world of wrong. Right? It's not what we need. If we're going to go into these next games, we need to make sure that we're still in there fighting. A 1-0 loss is fine. If we win both games, if we lose both games 1-0, for me that's not too bad a result. What we do not want in the next 2 games is absolutely battering. Europa League winners, yeah, I know Atalanta was last year. Can we get 11 points? I think we can get 11 points. What a performance, says Neil. But when we look at the next 2 games, and in October, you're playing Dortmund away and Atalanta away, and then we'll come back to Celtic Park. And then I think we can go on a bit of a run in the Champions League to climb back up the table. So no matter what happens during the next 2 games, look at the bigger picture, Celtic fans, because we then come back, we play RB Leipzig. And I think that we'll feel that we can get one over Leipzig at Celtic Park. We then play Club Brugge at Celtic Park on the 27th of November. As we then go into December, we then play GNK Dynamo at away. And then we play Young Boys at Celtic Park in January. And then the penultimate game, the end game for us, is Aston Villa away. That is probably going to be the most important game of the group, because it will determine exactly where Celtic can potentially finish. I'm just hoping that we're in a position that we are in and around the top 16 come that point. I really do hope that we're in and around the last 16. I think we can do it. But the Aston Villa game, they will class it again as the Battle of Britain. And it's got to be said, anytime there's a Battle of Britain, you always know who comes out on top. And it's not the English. It's not the English. Celtic have got a little... When it comes to these games against English teams, we do tend to do it. 3 wins, 2 draws gets us through. Celtic against Inter Milan, we win the cup, said Stephen Johnston. Yes, we did that. We play all of our games like last night. I fear no team, says Tam Mac. Exactly. If we play like last night and we defend like last night, and that is the most important bit. With these away games that are coming up, we're going to have to defend like there's no tomorrow. And let's not beat about the bush. But we can also play our own game. And we can also cause other teams some trouble. And other teams will be looking at Celtic this morning. Other teams will thought maybe last night, they're thinking, Celtic will maybe win 1 or 2-0. But that was emphatic last night. That was a romping. That was a thumping. That was putting down a flag right in the front of the Champions League. And we're second. Come on, we're second in the Champions League. Teams will be looking at this morning going, fuck's sake, Glasgow Celtic are second in the Champions League. Second in the Champions League. And then Aston Villa in their first, is this their first foray into the Champions League? And then Dortmund. And it's a fantastic position to be in. So let's not knock it one bit so ever. Yeah, it's going to be hard games. It's going to be really hard games coming up. But can we get enough? Anyway, the Slovan boss, the Bratislava boss, Vladimir Weiss, admitted that it was not easy to play at Celtic Park. He lauded the Celtic fans and what they can do to a team. He said, Celtic have got a lot of quality and pace. And when you play as high as we play, they take advantage of it. The pressure from the people is amazing. It is an amazing place to play. Celtic were very effective. I'm proud of my team because we gave 120% to the game. But it was not good enough because we played against a good team with very good quality players. Brendan is an amazing coach and Celtic is an amazing space for football. Going into the start of the tournament, The Dortmund boss thought that the Celtic game was a banker. He thought it was a banker. He thought that's 3 points in the bag, Celtic. Atalanta boss and Leipzig bosses all thought the Celtic game was a banker, through looking at previous performances by Celtic in the Champions League. I think, though, the bosses of those three teams this morning will be sitting looking at the table going, shit. Celtic's changed a bit, haven't they? Just a little bit. They have changed just a little bit. When we look at the table, especially when we look at the table, because one of the teams that we play, a few of the teams that we play, Club Brugge, young boys, are sitting on -3 goals. Club Brugge, -3 goals. Whereas Leipzig, they've not played yet. They play tonight. So yeah, we're in a not too bad a position. I would say. And their managers will be looking at Celtic in a different light this morning. Brendan Rodgers last night guided Celtic to the first ever match day victory on day one in the Champions League. All the media were saying Celtic's never won their first game in the Champions League. Ever. They've done all they could to try and put Celtic off and talk down Celtic's chances of not only a fantastic performance, not only for the fans making an unbelievable atmosphere, but because they look back at the history books and everyone at Celtic has said, look, this isn't the same Champions League. This is a new format. Everyone's here with a clean slate. This group of players are not the same group of players for the past. Brendan Rodgers has got the biggest ever group stage win ever as we beat them 5-1 last night at Bratislava, Slovan Bratislava, 5-1 at Celtic Park. Stunning performances by Liam Scales, Arne Engels, Adam Ida, Dyson on the wing to a certain extent, Kyogo for his movement and not for his chances that he's missed. Brendan Rodgers says after the game, to get to that scoreline at this level is a massive testament to the players, he said on Celtic TV. He says that mentality, I thought the first half we created some good chances and obviously got in front, but we weren't quick enough with the ball and our positioning. And the structure was a little bit out of sync. But oh my, that second half performance. Oh my God, oh my days, as a young Celtic player once said. Oh my days, wow, is what Brendan Rodgers said. Wow, that second half and that performance is up there with anything that he has ever achieved in the Champions League. The performance with the boys was absolutely, when you look at the statistics in the game, the scoreline as well, I thought every aspect of the game, we were excellent, said Brendan Rodgers. You have to respect the opponent. This is Champions League level. This isn't Scottish football level. This is Champions League level. You've got to respect that. You're going to have to put a shift in, and last night, every single player did it. Despite the strong first half, Celtic were absolutely immense. And what else Brendan Rodgers said, what I thought was good, he said when he's made changes over the last couple of weeks, it's changed the dynamics of the team. And there's been a little bit of a lull in the team, and opposing teams have then got their foot back into the game a bit. That didn't happen last night. The players come on and fitted like a glove seamlessly onto the pitch. In fact, you can actually say that the levels went up when they came on the pitch. The level of the players went up. When you like Paulo Bernardo comes on and starts dominating that midfield for just the little time that he has left, those are players that are saying, boss, I should be starting this game, not him. These are players that have got a point to prove at the highest level and want to be playing at that level. There was nobody shying away from the ball last night. There was nobody hiding from on the pitch for the ball last night. Every single player was absolutely amazing. And anyway, let's close off the poll. I've been on for 58 minutes. Was that the best ever Champions League result for Celtic? 67% say yes, 33% say no. Going to end the poll there. And we still managed to lose that 1% that YouTube steals. The whole team played as a team, clinically, mostly, says one of the comments. 8s and 9s all round for the team last night, says Jamie B, 1970. Kieran says, I'm sorry, but the Huns beat a better Dortmund a few years ago. How good can Dortmund honestly be since they are worse now? Interesting. Was the media not watching EastEnders? Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Anyway, we'll be doing a live tonight, 8 p.m, and there'll be a couple of, I think I'll do a couple of update videos on just my own personal thoughts on the game last night. Mr. Quinn gets the last comment. Every player in our squad wants to play and they are fighting for us as fans. He gets the last comment of the day. Thank you to everyone who's been on the video this morning. A little bit quieter than normal, but it is what it is at this time of day. Make sure that you all join us tonight. We're going to all talk about the game in more depth. And I'm going to go back and watch the highlights of the game just to see it all over again and relive the moment. And on that note, look at this. Let's just milk it just for that. We are sitting on 18,926 subscribers. But let's just look at this just for a little moment longer. Celtic sitting second in the Champions League. Tonight, when the final round of first games come to a conclusion, I suspect Celtic will still be sitting second in the Champions League. And that, my friends, is something you never thought any of us would be saying this morning. And on that note, have a fantastic day, Celtic fans all around the world.